What's the deal, people? It's your boy Nigel Byam, and this is another episode of Insight TV. And today we are here. I don't get an opportunity to interview much female artists, right? I don't get an opportunity, but today we are here with the lovely Camille, right?
Yes.
And for those of out there who don't know who you are, give them a little brief.
Well, I am Camille. I am a soca artist representing Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique.
Ooh, I like you see you said the three islands. I love that.
I must.
I love
I
that.
always do that. I like for the rest of the world to know that Grenada is Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique,
Right.
because I feel like it's always promoted as just Grenada.
Exactly.
And you have to say the whole entire country,
I love that.
involve everybody else.
I love that.
I mean, me personally, I consider myself to be from the whole entire country because my father is from Carriacou.
Okay.
So, Carriacou and Petite Martinique is considered to be
little
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
100% in my DNA, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique.
Love that. So just to start off, right? When you started singing, writing music, different things like that, was it always soca or did you have something else in mind?
Well, I first started singing when I was 3 years old, and I was inspired by Beyonce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was just me
Okay.
seeing, I mean, even at that age, I didn't know who she was necessarily. I was only 3 years old.
Right.
But just looking at the TV and seeing this like beautiful woman singing and belting her vocals the way she just used to, I said, I want to do that. So I
Wow.
started off like, age 7, 8, trying to write R&B music. And then I started listening to a little bit of hip hop. And so I thought I could be like an R&B singer. But the difficulty now that I found is that I was not able to relate to the culture. So I could sing it. I could sing other people's songs. When Rihanna dropped a tune, I'm singing it. When it came to writing it now, I couldn't connect.
Got you.
Because I come from a different culture. I could connect to soca and calypso because that's what was played in my house, and that's also the language that we speak at home, our dialect.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's like, how do I write R&B music when I wasn't speaking that dialect,
That's interesting. I mean, because I feel like a lot of artists are actually inspired by outside music, because to be honest, in Grenada, when Carnival done,
Yeah.
you kind of
So
get
they
all
start
the
playing
exactly.
soca and start listening to more dancehall and rap again, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what got you into soca music?
So my first inspiration was Alison Hines.
Pick up Allison.
Yeah, I saw her performing at a concert, and I think it was songs like Faluma Ding Ding, like those songs. I was like, okay, I don't understand what she's saying, but I love the way my vocals sound when I'm singing this. I was always known as like the little girl with the powerful voice. When I would sing, I'm only 9 years old, and people was like, that little girl singing like that, she sung like a big woman.
Sugar
Big
J.
up Sugar J.
Sugar J.
Okay. Sugar J, throughout my childhood, to me, I saw her as like the queen of soca in Grenada.
Yes.
Right? She was the first with this like the energy, the power in her voice and everything like that. And to see her go up on the stage and just command a stage and the crowd and everything like that. And I was like, okay, this was all the inspiration that I needed to say, I can do it
You
too.
can do that. That's amazing. I mean, like Sugar J was phenomenal.
Yeah.
A lot of the
She
younger
still
folks,
is.
yes. You know what I mean? When she was on stage all the time, I remember her having this like you said, a huge command.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So that's completely amazing. So with that being said, moving forward, when did you record your first song? When did that happen?
So how I got to recording my first soca song, my sister and I, we were posting videos of ourselves singing on Instagram, and we would sing mostly like music from like Nadia Batson, because like I said, I was more looking at females who have like a more powerful voice, because my vocals connected with that.
Right.
And Expert reached out to me in my DMs and was like, we want you on a rhythm for Kayak Mass coming up. At the time, I probably hadn't been back home in about maybe like 5 years or so. And they were like, are you coming home for Carnival? And I was like, well, I mean, if you put me on a song, well, then I have to come, you know? So they sent me the rhythm. It was called a Sugar Mommy rhythm. And as soon as he sent it to me, I was like, I got some fire for this.
Wow.
Now, I didn't start writing yet, but I just believed in myself. When I heard it, I connected with the rhythm and I said, I know I'm going to write some fire on this. And I wrote the song the same day that he sent it to me. And then I sent him back a demo. I just recorded like a clip in my phone.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, you're going to have to go to a studio and lay it down and like, you know, send back the vocals for him, you know. So I did, and it just so happened that when I went to record it, I remember the person said to me, why do you want to do soca? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, this is our culture. I love soca. And they said, but you know, as a Grenadian and as a female, it's gonna be hard for you. And I had no idea what they were talking about, because I'm like, how you mean? Like, I'm growing up seeing Sugar J, Nika Francis, Laura Lisa. I look up to these ladies and them, and I'm like, they've been on the stage. They have such beautiful music, but I had no idea that there was an actual, like, I guess, difficulty for females doing it, because I saw them doing it. I didn't, you know, behind the scenes, you don't really see what's actually you don't when you're looking on the outside looking in, that's what I meant to say. You don't actually know what's
really happening. So how do you you know, it's great that you said that, because it kind of funnels into what I had to ask you next, like the difficulty, right? What would you say a couple of those challenges are as a female artist in the soca industry, and how do you deal with that?
Okay. I think the only challenge, right, that the females really have is that I don't see a unity with the females. I think that when we look at the male artists, they have a brotherhood. They form little groups, you know, and not only that, but they put in a lot of work to do what they're doing. Nobody don't hand anything to them. When it comes to making their rhythms, they're making it themselves. They, you know, as a person, just when you want, I believe when you want something in life, go and get it, right? Nobody can stop you from getting it but you, right? So from what I'm seeing, these men and them, they go to work, they work for their money. They decide, you know what, I want a studio. Okay, save up my little money, buy the stuff, put it together, build a rhythm, right? And they form their little crew. Look, you have Muddy, have Dirty Life, right?
Yeah.
Expert, Impulse, right? So you're seeing that the guys are doing that, and nobody didn't give it to them. They gave it to themselves. So I'm looking at the females now. Where's your little group, right? Where's your Dirty Life? Where's your Expert? Where's your, you know? So I decided that I was going to form my own little entertainment company called Spice Girl Entertainment, because I have not heard of any other female artists doing what the men are doing. You know, I think that in the past it's just been, when you look at the credits of the rhythms that the females are on, they're on rhythms that were built by male producers. Right. You know, and so I don't really look at it as like the men are not making way for the female, or the men are not helping the female or anything like that, because if you are on a male rhythm, they did help you.
True.
They did help you, you know what I mean? But they have their little groups, they're united, and so the females need to form a sisterhood. We don't have one. I
love that, because there's I'm drawing a blank with her name right now, Trinidadian artist. She comes to Grenada all the time. And she has a whole female band. Drummer.
Is it Nadia?
Nadia? Oh, Nadia. That is Nadia.
Is SAS all female? I never checked that out.
The drummer is like completely amazing. I follow her on Instagram. Okay. Drummer is keyboard. Everybody is a full
I didn't know
female
that.
band. So it's like, it's cool to hear you say forming that,
Yeah.
kind of unity.
Yeah.
And kind of sisterhood.
We need that.
Yeah,
we need that.
It's really
you
good.
know. And so I really feel like we cannot blame the men. Sometimes you do have to take accountability. You know what I mean? Nobody taught them. They taught themselves.
Right. Trial and error.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the quality of Grenadian music has come a long way because they are teaching themselves.
Right.
Right.
And social media too. Like, so let's touch on that a little bit. Right?
Yeah.
Social media aspect. There is a number of artists that will use their social media platform, right?
Yeah.
We use, let's say, Grenada, for example, that will come on social media and complain about what the soca industry is not doing or what Spice Mass is not doing when they have this 20, 30,000 followers or whatever the case may be on their social media platform. What do you have to say about individuals that complain about outside entities not doing for them?
And I think it's a little bit of a sense of entitlement.
Okay.
I think that in the music industry on a whole, not just soca alone, but I think that artists tend to think that as soon as they become an artist or as soon as they drop a song, they should just automatically take off. If I like it, everybody should like it. You know what I mean? And they think that the outpour of love is just going to gravitate over to them and that they don't have to actually put in any of the work themselves. I think that they think that the work is done the time that they left the studio. Once the record is done, my work is done. And that's not how it works. The music business is a business, and you're supposed to leave the studio knowing that like you're the CEO of your business and the fate of your business lies in your hands. Okay, so when it comes to putting your business out there, the promotion, the marketing, everything like that, it's all on you. And I think that they think that, outside entities like Spice Mass and stuff is supposed to market them. Do they work for you? Are they a part of your company? No, you're more. It's just a little bit of entitlement and probably just not understanding that they're in a business.
I love that because you touch on certain points that I see people like Expert, that we spoke about Expert earlier, right? Big up Expert, who will produce a rhythm, get artists to sing on a rhythm, and then like film videos of each artist on this rhythm. And I don't think sometimes people understand, because my background is marketing, right? This is what I do. Marketing, I understand how to sell things to individuals.
Exactly.
And how that works, right? I don't think these artists are not educated enough sometimes. So nobody's telling them also how much it's important to push your own music. Right? You know what I mean? They have a young kid, Tris, right? Tris, I interviewed Tris in Grenada last year. This year now, he's like pushing his music out. Everywhere, every time you open social media, you see him, right? You see some kind of image of him. And it's something I want to commend you on, right? Because I didn't know who you were personally, but whatever marketing skills you're doing, it's working because that's how I end up seeing your music and hearing your music. You know what I mean? There's one song that I got a couple questions of what I want to ask you about, right? But, the marketing scheme of what you're doing, where does the idea come from? How did you develop that?
Well, my very first job as soon as I graduated high school was as a market research interviewer.
Got you.
So I later on applied those skills to my music or anything that it is that I have to push. I just have that mindset built in me because fresh out of high school, that was my first job.
Wow.
That was my first job.
Yeah.
I would only say taking accountability on myself, I feel like I could do a lot more because I'm so skilled. It's just that I need to manage the time. Sometimes you could do batch creation of your content and then just, push it out.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a little bit of a balance between, trying to find a balance between my business life and my personal life You know, I'm a mom. You know, I need to try to make more time to create more content
Yes.
because I have the skill.
I love that. It's like, you know, like you have that education and you understand what that is. And it's like, and I interviewed some pretty good artists. And then nobody has never sent me a press release.
Oh, wow.
Right? And these are small things that I think a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah, and that's all it is.
They honestly don't know that those things are so important to guide the interviewer into the right direction on how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So you have a song out now, Mango. Right?
Everyone loves
I
that
love
song.
that song.
Thank you so much.
And it gives me a feeling of a long time song with a message, right? Because we could take that and shift it in many different directions, which I love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like when music is too plain, you don't give the listeners time to think. And I feel like that song makes me think in many different directions. Yes. So how did you come up with the concept? Where did that come from?
The way my brain is wired, first and foremost, let me just give the credit to God.
Yeah, all right, I love that.
Because sometimes I'd surprise myself, you know? And I said to myself, you know what, Camille, that one came from God. You know, I like to call myself lyrically inclined. I mean, I'm not the only person who's said that to myself, but I do believe I am lyrically inclined. And I will just draw inspiration from anything around me. Like right now, we're on this rooftop. There's inspiration everywhere.
Yes, love that.
To write a song. And for me, it just came from eating mangoes at first, you know. Yeah. I actually, I was on a break from music because I was pregnant. At the time, I was like, I'm not going to try to juggle the two. Right. You know, but as a creative person, you're still listening to rhythms, you're still listening to music, and thoughts are still coming to my mind, you know? So I was eating a lot of mangoes, and my mom actually had threw 2 of my mangoes in the garbage, and I asked her where the mango went, and she told me that she threw them away because they were spoiling on the counter. And that instantly just became a hook for me. Where the mango? I let me mango, I throw the mango. And I was like, mango, like
right.
It's a double meaning. And you know, I have past experiences of dumping guys. So it became a song, you know.
Wow.
Monster Entertainment, big up to I Am Green's Jude. Everybody knows him formally as JRE.
JRE,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, he sent me the rhythm. I said, Jude, I'm not doing music right now. He's like, just write something. We'll drop it later, you know. And when he sent it, it was just like the bass. It was not all instruments included and stuff. It was just like a simple, you know, rhythm. So I wrote this song. I sent it back for him. And then he's like, okay, we need live instruments on this, because he's like, yo, how did you come up with these names and this? I said, listen, it just came to me.
Right.
You know, so big up to Keon Jules and Javid Nichols doing the live instruments. The melodies that I wrote, they kind of just, you know, followed along with that. And it just became a beautiful rhythm, a beautiful song. Big up to the other artists on the rhythm too. Skinny Banton, Sugar J, my favorite. And JRE himself. Strings and pan rhythm. It was a beautiful project.
Yes, I love that song. Like I said, it's we don't have music like when I was growing up. I remember listening to, you know, Specky and all these guys, and sometimes they would say it's kind of slack or vulgar, but it wasn't directly slack or vulgar.
Yeah, like how I wrote the mango song.
Yeah, exactly, like, you know what I mean. Clearly, we thinking of a fruit, but also we thinking about where your man gone. Like, you know what I mean, where you go. So it's like the double meaning thing. I think is so important to just the listeners, you know, you enjoy it a lot more because you could take this and go any kind of way. And I could drive in the car with my son and play the song and don't have to worry about
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because you know, soca these days, it's not staying like that. We have some some raunchy music coming out that we can't play around the kids, you know. But I'm sticking to the culture. I'm sticking to the origins of it, and I feel like it's a true talent to be able to do it. You know, music is all about, you know, metaphors and similes, and it's poetry.
Yes.
It's poetry.
Love that.
And poetry is a skill. Yeah. Other than songwriting, and to be able to put both of them together, man,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. So, a question I love to ask individuals: what would you tell you start young, right? So, what would you tell your 8 or 9-year-old self, right? With all the knowledge that you have in your head right now about the music industry, about everything.
Yeah.
What would you tell your younger self on how to propel your career?
Wow, that's a deep question. What would I tell my younger self on how to propel my career forward? So it's like basically my younger self to coach me in today's day.
With all your knowledge that you have now, how would you coach your younger self? What would you tell your younger self?
Gosh. Well, firstly, I would have told my younger self to calm down.
Okay.
You're gonna get there.
Okay.
You know, because I always wanted to be where I am. And I believe that I manifested where I am just by believing in myself and taking the steps that I took in order to get to where I am today. I would have just told my younger self, you got this.
Encouragement.
You know, yeah, I would encourage myself a lot more. Man, it's a tough question.
I know it is. I mean,
it's a deep question, you know. Because like, you know, when I was younger, like I had so much anxiety and I just wanted to hurry up and get there. I think sometimes when we're young, we just want to race through life. You know, because when I was young, I wanted to be a young soca singer. I wanted to be like a young teen sensation. You know what I mean? But patience, and you're gonna get there. You got this.
Yeah. I mean, that time process is like sometimes we don't appreciate the journey until we get to the end of it all.
But the journey is what it's about. You know what I mean? Because when you race to get there, and then what?
Prime example. Exactly. So, with that being said, what's next? What's next for you? What you have in the works? What's a grand scheme plan that you have?
Which I'm always doing. I'm always planning.
Love that. Love it. So tell us a little bit about what is your next step. What do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Okay, the next 5 years, I'm definitely going to be touring across the world.
Love it.
You know, and I'm working towards that right now. Like I said, it's a business. You know, and you don't want to do things too fast and make mistakes. And, you know, and like I said, I would have told my little self, you're going to get there. Have some patience. Just follow the right steps that you need to make, and you're going to get there. So in 5 years' time, I am going to be touring all over the world. I have new music coming out for this year that I do plan to travel with. So far, I've only traveled like back and forth between Grenada and the States with my music, but I haven't gone to other countries with my music. So the next step is to now start to go to other countries with my music.
Right. I love that, man. It's I love to see your wide scheme of things. You understand what I'm saying? You know, there's a lot of artists out there who nothing wrong with their goals, but it's very, you know, right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I love to see that you have a kind of wide frame of that. So let the people know all your social media handles, where they can find you, things like that.
Well, my social media handles are Camille Sing, S-I-N-G. My name is Camille and I sing. And all of my music on all the streaming sites is currently under Camille Claudette. I dropped the Claudettes. I find that a lot of people were like kind of getting tongue-tied with my name.
Okay.
So I ended up just dropping the Claudette. So moving forward, I would be just Camille.
Camille. Love that. Love that. All right. So thank you so much for coming on Insight TV and, you know, sharing your story with me and my viewers. You
No
know,
problem.
it's
Life is a journey.
Yes.
You know, it's bits and pieces of the story. It's like the story you have past, present, and future. It's an ongoing story.
I love that. I love that. So we wish you all the best, and we hope your story just keeps getting better and better and better.
Oh, it will. Please, God.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of the sisterhood that you're creating. I think that's like a genius idea in the
It's
soca
so
industry.
needed. I only hope that the women just like, you know, be open and more trusting. Because, you know, sometimes it's hard as a woman, but we have to start somewhere.
Right.
We have to start somewhere. So
yeah, you guys are definitely.
I love them. So we're gonna create that.
Love that. Well, once again, thank you so much, viewers. This is another amazing episode of Insight TV with the wonderful Camille. Sings. She could sing too, you know. I want y'all to go and check out her music. She could sing.
Thank you.
One love. Later, people.